Hello everyone, this is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight is Wednesday the 16th of July 2014, and tonight we're going to study the Urantia book, paper 16, the Seven Master Spirits. So let me say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for this wonderful revelation. We pray that you open our hearts and our minds that we might learn something tonight, and then we might share this with others, and it might serve purpose in our life on our pathway to you. We thank you and we give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, the Seven Master Spirits. Let's see if my clicker works tonight. Oop, wrong clicker again. So I can get it on the right one here. Try it again. There we go. Seven Master Spirits. How about if I start out reading tonight? Is that okay? The Seven Master Spirits. The seven master spirits of paradise are the primary personalities of the infinite spirit. In this sevenfold creative act of self-duplication, the infinite spirit exhausted the associated possibilities mathematically inherent in the factual existence of the three persons of deity. Had it been possible to produce a large number of master spirits, they would have been created. But there are just seven associated possibilities, and only seven inherent in three deities. And this explains why the universe is operated in seven grand divisions, and why the number seven is basically fundamental in its organization and administration. Alright, this gives us the secret to why there's only seven super universes. I'm getting noise in the background. Millie, could you mute your mic for a second, dear?
What did I miss?
I read the first paragraph.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
I had to go get my book holder.
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't see. I can't see anyway. That's okay.
All right. Let me restart my video here. Maybe that will help.
I see you. You're moving, but you're all fuzzy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably
Your
the focus.
voice bubbly too.
Okay, that's probably the focus of the video itself. I mean, the camera. Is that any better?
Yes, I can see you now.
Okay. All right. The Seven Master Spirits. It's interesting that it tells us the secret of why there's seven super universes, and that is in creating every possibility of the combinations of the Trinity, we come out with seven. All right. And this is true, and it sounds like from this paper this is going to be true even through the outer space levels, that the seven association will remain constant even out through all the outer space levels. And the other thing that's interesting here is it says that they are the primary personalities of the infinite spirit. So this is the first personalities that the infinite spirit creates. Okay? And by doing this, the infinite spirit exhausted all possibilities of any more deities being created like the seven master spirits. Only these seven will be created. Now, any other beings that were created after that are downsteppings of these seven master spirits. Okay, and this is why these combinations of the seven possibilities of the combinations of the Trinity is why everything in this seven super universes seem to come out in the number seven. And that's what this...
I got lost somewhere. I thought personality came from God.
It does. I'm talking about individual personalities now here. Not the personality. God still gives the seven master spirits the personality. Actually, God the Father and the Son were involved in creating these seven master spirits. Okay? But I'm just saying the possibilities of the combinations of the likeness of the three persons of deity. This is all the seven combinations. We're going to go through this in just a minute. All right.
I thought you said I thought I heard you say that the infinite spirit created the personalities.
They did. She did, but she did it, or he did, and but they did it in association with God the Father and God the Son. They're not really sure, but they consider the seven master spirits as part of the children of the infinite spirit because of the function of the seven master spirits. But it does say later on in this paper that the God the Father and God the Son did participate in creation of these master spirits. Okay? Now let's go on to the next one. We're going to find out more about this combination. All right. Millie, would you take the next first paragraph in the seven
Yes,
things on the list?
I do that.
Yeah.
The seven master spirits thus have their origin in and derive their individual characteristics from the following seven likenesses. Number 1, the universal Father. Number 2, the eternal Son. 3, the infinite Spirit. 4, the Father and the Son. 5, the Father and the Spirit. 6, the Son and the Spirit. And 7, the Father, Son, and Spirit.
Okay, let's see if I can move forward with this. Okay. All right, so this is the 7 possible combinations of the Trinity. Each one individually, the Father and the Son, the Father, Spirit, the Son and the Spirit, the Father, Son, and Spirit. And the 7 master spirits derive their individual characteristics from the likeness of each one of these combinations. So this makes each one of them individual. And this is an interesting picture. Let me blow it up a little bit here. Of this very fact. And we'll come back. Let me go to the next paragraph and then we'll come back to this. Diane, would you take the next one?
We know very little about the action of the Father and the Son in the creation of the master spirits. Apparently they were brought into existence by the personal acts of the infinite Spirit, but we have been definitely instructed that both the Father and the Son participated in their origin.
That's what I was talking about. So they participated in the origin, and I don't know how well you can see this slide because it's kind of a light blue. But basically what this slide shows is the 7 master spirit and how the Father and the Son actually participated in the creation of these. Kind of interesting.
So this is the influence each one of the individual 7 super universes has as their primary goal, like with us being the 7th one.
That's right. So we will have the likeness of the 7th master spirit, and the 7th master spirit is the likeness of God the Father, God the Son, and the Spirit. So as we ascend through paradise, and even after we become finaliters, we will still have the characteristics and the mark of that combination, the Father, Son, and Spirit, because we come from the 7th super universe.
Which is love and mercy.
That's right. That's right. All right. Let's go on here. I'm next. In spirit, character, and nature, these 7 spirits of paradise are as one, but in all other aspects of identity they are unlike, and the result of their functioning in the super universes are such that the individual differences. Did someone just try to download? No. Okay. I lost my place. Their individual differences of each are unmistakably discernible. All the afterplans of the 7 segments of the grand universe, and even the correlative segments of outer space, that's the outer space levels, have been conditioned by the other than spiritual diversity of these 7 master spirits of supreme and ultimate supervision. So, They say that the differences between the seven master spirits are unmistakably discernible. So each one of them is a little bit different, even though they function along the same line. And then it goes on to tell us that the seven segments, or the seven super universes, and even the correlative segments of the outer space levels. So as you go the outer space levels, they have been conditioned also by the other than spirit diversity of the seven master spirits of supreme and ultimate supervision. So what this means is those outer space levels, each one 1/7 of the outer space levels has the characteristics and likeness. When they start having beings out there, they will be just like in character, just like this we are in the seven master spirits, which is really kind of amazing if you think about it. All right. Let me go forward one here. One second.
When they make all these planets in the next outer space and make another super universe,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have an eighth master spirit.
No more master spirits will be created. Only these seven. So their domain will extend out to all the outer space levels. 1/7 of all the outer space levels. Okay? So if you think of it as a big pie, as we get more and more outer space levels, their slice of the pie will extend further. Right?
Okay, got that?
Make sense? Okay.
Yes, I suppose if anybody can handle that much, I suppose they can. They're made to do that.
That's right. They're made to do that. Millie, would you take the next one?
The master spirits have many functions, but at the present time, their particular domain is the central supervision of the seven super universes. Each master spirit maintains an enormous force focal headquarters, which slowly circulates around the periphery of paradise, always maintaining a position opposite the super universe of immediate supervision and at the paradise focal point of its specialized power control and segmental energy distribution. The radial boundary lines of any one of the super universes do actually converge at the paradise headquarters of the supervising master spirit.
Okay, and I want to show y'all a picture of this. It's kind of interesting. Now they say the paradise headquarters, and we know they have a headquarters on the infinite spirit worlds, right? So if we look at this picture, it's kind of hard to tell, but what they're pointing back to is the master spirit on the world of the infinite spirit. And of course that's the focal point of paradise. So this master spirit for each one of these super universes controls everything in this super universe, even past all the Havona spheres from that infinite spirit's sphere, right? Okay, so it looks like a kind of a big piece of pie. So it's the supervising spirit of this super universe, okay? And they say the radial boundaries do converge. So this goes all the way into paradise, okay? Let's keep going. I don't have that many pictures tonight, so. All right, one.
I saw that. I listened to last week's, because I missed last week, so I listened to it. And maybe it was this week's. You had some things I could punch up to read it or look at. One had pictures.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't print that picture. I got a page full of navy blue.
Really? Yeah, that's probably because it's color. Do you have a color printer, Millie?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't print out. Huh? Is that from the
Well,
slide?
It says you push Control and P.
Yeah.
And then my printer comes up and I say print. And when I did that, a little navy blue square came up in the upper left corner.
Okay,
And that's what it printed, was that navy blue square.
Were you trying to print it from the video or the slide?
From your video.
Okay, well you'll have to download the slide. You know, underneath the slides, they have links there to download the slides. That's what you'll have to download to get the
Okay.
pictures. Okay?
I'll try that.
Yeah, download the slides, and if you don't have a viewer for the slides, if you don't have PowerPoint, right underneath the two links is a place where you can download the viewer from Microsoft so you can look at it. Okay?
Yeah, I have PowerPoint.
Okay, well just click it and open it as a PowerPoint then. You should be able to print it from that slide. Actually, all these slides you can...
That's what I did. I was reviewing it with PowerPoint. And
Yeah.
it didn't print the thing. That's okay. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, that is kind of odd. Diane, would you take the next one?
1. Relation to triune deity. The conjoint creator, the infinite spirit, is necessary to the completion of the triune personalization of undivided deity. This threefold deity personalization is inherently sevenfold in possibility of individual and associative expression. Hence, the subsequent plan to create universes inhabited by intelligent and potentially spiritual beings, duly expressive of the Father, Son, and Spirit, made the personalization of the seven master spirits inescapable. We have come to speak of the threefold personalization of deity as the absolute inevitability, while we have come to look upon the appearance of the seven master spirits as the sub-absolute inevitability.
Okay, so
And as a
you remember we talked about the seven absolutes? Well, this is what they call a sub-absolute. In other words, the only way that we could have spiritual beings being created was the creation of these seven master spirits that to manage them. Okay, and that's what they're talking about as a sub-absolute inevitability. Okay. Alright. Let me advance this one too. Give me a second. And this is, I think this is the last picture if I can't sort to. Alright, now this is a picture of, ooh, you can't even make that one out. But anyway, a picture of the seven master spirits and their influence on each of the seven universes. Okay, there's not a lot of pictures for this because this is pretty technical. Alright, while the seven master spirits are hardly expressive of the threefold deity, they are the eternal portrayal of sevenfold deity. The active and associative functions of the three ever-present persons of deity, by and in through these seven spirits, the universal Father, the eternal Son, or the infinite Spirit, and any dual association is able to function as such. When the Father, the Son, and the Spirit act together, they can and do function through Master Spirit number 7, but not as the Trinity. The Master Spirits singly and collectively represent any and all possible deity functions, single and several, but not collective, not the Trinity. Master Spirit number 7 is personally non-functional with regard to the Paradise Trinity, and that is why he can function personally for the Supreme Being. Now this seems very difficult, in actuality it isn't. He is the representation of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit out to the spirit world, but he does not directly act as the function of the Trinity. The Trinity acts on their own, okay? But since he does not act for them, then he is able to take the place of the Supreme Being until the Supreme Being comes into full fruition. And that's why the seventh Master Spirit is so important, because he functions personally for the Supreme Being until he comes into full fruition. Okay?
So the seven master spirits are spirits. They're not the originals. They're spirits of.
They're spirit, that's right. So they're not originals. Well, they're originals within themselves, but they're not in other words, the seventh Master Spirit representing the Father, Son, and Spirit is not the Father, Son, and Spirit. They are a representation of them, but the Trinity acts on its own. Okay, that's the difference. The seventh Master Spirit acts on his own with the characteristics of those three spirits, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Right? So you can't think of the seventh Master Spirit as the last word from the Paradise Trinity, because he does not represent the Trinity. Okay? All right. Millie, would you take the next one?
Speaker. But when the seven master spirits vacate their individual seats of personal power and super-universe authority and assemble about the conjoint actor in the triune presence of paradise deity, then and there they are collectively representative of the functional power, wisdom, and authority of undivided deity, the Trinity, to and in the evolving universes. Such a paradise union of the primal sevenfold expressions of deity does actually embrace, literally encompass, all of every attribute and attitude of the three eternal deities of supremacy and ultimacy. To all practical intents and purposes, the seven master spirits do then and there encompass the functional domain of the supreme ultimate to and in the master universe.
Okay, so this explains, the last slide told us that the seventh does not represent the Trinity, right? And this one tells us that it takes all seven of the master spirits conjointly to function as a representative of the Paradise Trinity. Did you catch that? So it takes
Yes.
all seven of the master spirits to represent the Trinity and act for the Trinity. You see what I'm saying? You see the difference? So that's important to understand, because knowing that the seventh master spirit is a representation of the Father, Son, and Spirit, it does not act for those until all seven agree and act together. All right? Okay. Diane, would you take the next one?
As far as we can discern, these seven spirits are associated with the divine activities of the three eternal persons of deity. We detect no evidence of direct association with the functioning presences of the three eternal phases of the Absolute. When associated, the master spirits represent paradise deities in what may be roughly conceived as the infinite domain of action.
Finite domain.
Roughly conceived as a finite domain of action. It might embrace much that is ultimate, but not absolute.
So when these spirits act together, they act as a finite unit, a finite domain of action. They only act in the finite, not the infinite. Okay, and it goes on to say it might embrace what is ultimate. In other words, the ultimate act as a finite in the finite realm, but not as an absolute, not like the seven absolutes. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next one. Relation to the infinite spirit. Just as the eternal and original Son is revealed through the persons of the constantly increasing number of divine sons, so is the infinite and divine Spirit revealed through the channels of the seven master spirits and their associative spirit groups. At the center of centers, the infinite Spirit is approachable, but not all who attain paradise are immediately able to discern his personality and differentiated presence. But all who attain the central universe can and do immediately commune with one of the seven master spirits, the one presiding over the super universe from which the newly arrived space pilgrim hails. So it's more difficult to discern the seven master spirits, or the infinite spirit, than it is the seven master spirits. Let's see if we can add him to the group. Hey Rodney.
Hello, everybody.
Did I lose my video again, y'all? I think I did.
happens every time, huh?
Yeah. Maybe we start it. Maybe it'll come back. Hello, Rodney. We're on the second section. We just finished the first paragraph.
Okay.
That's on page 185.
185.
Yep.
Holy cow. You got, oh, okay, you guys did good.
Yep.
Okay, 85.
Yeah, the very first paragraph. And
Okay, good. I got a question mark down here.
Diane Silver Hog is calling.
I think I lost Dan. Hello?
Would you call me back if the got disconnected?
Yeah, I will. Millie, are you out there? Let me call everybody back. I
Okay,
lost.
that's strange. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I lost Millie and let me just call everybody back. All right.
I'm here.
Millie, you there?
I'm here.
Diane? Diane?
Hey, evening,
Broadcast.
Hey,
Okay.
Diane.
I got everybody back. Okay. All right.
I had the message that the call was on hold and everything went gray.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, it didn't work well with adding people for some reason.
But your picture was so good there at the end. I mean, it was clear, it wasn't fuzzy.
Did it come back?
No, you're just circling right now.
Yeah, mine is too.
Okay.
It was all blobby before that. Even when Diane said she could see, I could see, but I could not discern what was going on. It was just all blobby.
All right.
But then it came really, really clear.
Let's see if it'll come back. Let's keep going. So the infinite spirit, the seven master spirits. Okay, when we get to paradise, we will be able to discern the master spirit of our super universe easier than we do the infinite spirit. And that's what it's saying here in this paragraph, because the infinite spirit is a higher form of spirit, right? Try to see if I can get this going again. Okay. Millie, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. To the universe of universes, the Paradise Father speaks only through his Son, while he and the Son co-jointly act only through the Infinite Spirit. Outside of Paradise and Havana, the Infinite Spirit speaks only by the voices of the seven Master Spirits.
So the infinite spirit only communicates through these seven master spirits and what? Their cohorts, right? The beings underneath them, which includes all the ministering spirits, right? So nothing goes in or out from the infinite spirit except through these seven master spirits. And we're going to see the chain of command here in a minute, sort of. All right. Diane, would you take the next one?
The infinite spirit exerts an influence of personal presence within the confines of the Paradise system. Elsewhere, his personal spirit presence is exerted by and through one of the seven master spirits. Therefore, is the super-universe spirit presence of the third source and center on any world or in any individual condition by the unique nature of the supervisory master spirit of that segment of creation. Conversely, the combined lines of spirit force and intelligence pass inward to the third person of deity by way of the seven master spirits.
Okay. Okay, so basically what it's saying here is the infinite spirit and their influence and presence is only felt or exerted through the seven master spirits, right? And if you take any combination of the seven of the deities, they too are also related through one of these seven master spirits, right? All right, so let's keep going. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Yeah. This is important stuff.
Yeah.
The seven master spirits are collectively endowed with the supreme, ultimate attributes of the third source and center, while each one individually partakes of this endowment. Only collectively do they disclose the attributes of omnipotence,
Omnipotence.
omniscience, pardon me?
Omnipotence.
Thank you. Omnipotence,
Omniscience.
omniscience, and how do you
Presence.
pronounce it?
Omnipresence.
Omnipresence.
So it's omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence. Okay?
Instant. No one of them can so function universally as individuals, and in the exercise of these powers of supremacy and ultimacy, each is personally limited to the super universe of immediate supervision.
Okay, so each of the 7 master spirits are limited to their own super universe, and what? They're also limited to the all the way to the 4th outer space level, right? In other words, that's their domain too, but right now their current domain is the 7 super universe. But these powers of supremacy and ultimacy, which will eventually go out to the outer space levels, are theirs also, but the function of omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence can only be had by the act of all 7 spirits at once. Okay? So together they have these attributes, but they have to have them only together. Individually they do not have them. That makes sense? So it takes all 7. So you see, yeah, so you see how they did.
So are they going to be all together in space fields?
The outer space levels? Yeah, well see, they'll act together, but they will also act individually just like they do in the 7 super universes. Okay? So as the super universes, the outer space levels start to be populated, their domain just extends out like a big piece of pie, all the way to the 4th one eventually.
Under relation to the triune deity, the 3rd paragraph says that when the 7 master spirits vacate their individual seats of personal power and super-universe authority, they assemble about the conjoined actor in the triune presence of paradise deity.
Yeah.
And you just missed that page.
Yeah.
That was the previous page.
That's the previous page. So they act in concert only with the direction of what? The infinite spirit, right? And to do that, they have to vacate their spot temporarily as heads of the 7 super universes, and that function is taken over by their subordinates. And who would be their immediate subordinate? That would be the 7 supreme executives. Okay? And we'll talk about that in the next paper. Okay? Alright, let's keep going. Am I up next? Okay, 3. Identity and diversity of the master spirits.
I think in this paragraph, all of everything.
Oh, did I skip over one? I probably did.
Yeah.
What's that one?
Okay, sorry. All of everything which has been told you concerning the divinity and personality of the conjoint actor applies equally and fully to the 7 master spirits, who so effectively distribute the infinite spirit to the 7 segments of the grand universe in accordance with their divine endowment and in the manner of their differing and individual unique natures. It would therefore be proper to apply the collective group of 7 any or all the names of the infinite spirit. Collectively they are one with the conjoint creator on all sub-absolute levels. So acting together, they are just like the representation of the infinite spirit, right?
Right here, they threw in the words conjoint actor, and they had done that on the previous page. That's
right.
another name for the infinite spirit, right?
That's right, it is. It is.
Conjoint actor and infinite spirit are the same thing.
That's right. Conjoint actor and infinite spirit are the same thing.
And conjoint creator.
That's right. That's right. Okay,
All right.
Millie, would you take the next one?
Identity and diversity of the master spirits. The 7 master spirits are indescribable beings, but they are distinctly and definitely personal. They have names, but we elect to introduce them by number. As primary personalizations of the infinite spirit, they are akin, but as primary expressions of the seven possible associations of triune deity, they are essentially diverse in nature. And this diversity of nature determines their differential of super-universe conduct. These seven master spirits may be described as follows.
Okay, so we know that just like people who have personality, everyone is unique. So the seven master spirits are unique also, right? They're not.
You could almost say that it's got a split personality, but it's split 7 ways.
Yeah. Now these next few slides, I have 2 paragraphs together in them because it describes the previous paragraph. So let's read these. Diane, would you take the next 2 paragraphs?
I was going to say, could Diane read everything about number 1?
Yeah, that's
And
what
next one, everything about number 2 is two paragraphs.
that's right. It's 2 paragraphs. Each one is 2 paragraphs, I believe. So, Diane, would you take the first one?
Yes, Master Spirit number 1. In a special manner, this spirit is the direct representation of the Paradise Father. He is a peculiar and efficient manifestation of the power, love, and wisdom of the Universal Father. He is the close associative and supernal advisor of the Chief of Mystery Monitors, that being who presides over the College of Personalized Adjusters on Divinington. In all associations of the 7 Master Spirits, it is always Master Spirit number 1 who speaks for the Universal Father. This spirit presides over the first super universe, and while unfailingly exhibiting the divine nature of a primary personalization of the infinite spirit, seems more especially to resemble the Universal Father in character. He is always in personal liaison with the 7 reflective spirits at the headquarters of the first super universe.
Okay, so it's interesting to tell us at the very first that he's an efficient manifestation of power, love, and wisdom. You see that? So that's the characteristics that he protrudes. Okay, he's also the chief of the thought adjusters of the mystery monitors, right? And he presides over Divinington, which is where the thought adjusters come from. Okay, and when he speaks, he always speaks for the Universal Father. Okay, and it says here he more especially resembles the Father in character, and he is always in personal liaison with the 7 reflective spirits in the headquarters of this first universe. So he is the person in charge to communicate with the 7 reflective spirits through Majeston. Okay? So he's pretty important. Okay, Master Spirit number 2. Rodney, would you take that one?
Master Spirit number 2. This spirit adequately portrays the matchless nature and charming character of the Eternal Son, the firstborn of all creation. He is always in close association with all orders of the sons of God, whenever they may happen to be in the residential universe as individuals or in joyous conclave. In all the assemblies of the 7 Master Spirits, he always speaks for and in behalf of the Eternal Son. The Spirit directs the destinies of Super Universe number 2 and rules this vast domain much as would the Eternal Son. He is always in liaison with the 7 reflective spirits situated at the capital of the 2nd Super Universe.
Okay, so his nature is more like the Eternal Son. And when he speaks, he always speaks in behalf of the Eternal Son, right? Also, you notice he's always in liaison with the 7 reflective spirits associated with the capital of the 7 super universes. Now we remember that the 7 reflective spirits, there's 7 for each of the 7 super universes, right? There's 49 of them, and who's their chief? Majeston. Okay. So he's
I was going to ask you to go over reflective spirits before we got maybe started on this paper.
yeah.
We got started. You started too quickly.
Oh, sorry. Well, that's the order of them. There's 7 for each of the 7 super universes, right? 49 altogether. Majeston is their head, but this particular master spirit is always in liaison with the 7 reflective spirits of the 2nd super universe. Remember in the previous one, it said that the first one was in liaison with the 7 reflective spirits of the 1st super universe. You got it? So they are totally in contact with them all the time. So there's 49 of them, 7 for each of the 7 super universes, right? Okay, Master Spirit number 3. Oh, that's me. Okay, Master Spirit number 3. This spirit personality especially resembles the Infinite Spirit, and he directs the movements and the work of many of the high personalities of the Infinite Spirit. He presides over their assemblies and is closely associated with all personalities who take exclusive origin in the 3rd source and center. When the 7 Master Spirits are in council, it is Master Spirit number 3 who always speaks for the Infinite Spirit. This spirit is in charge of Super Universe number 3, and he administers the affairs of this segment, much as would the Infinite Spirit. He is always in liaison with the reflective spirits of the headquarters of the 3rd universe, and we know there's 7 of those, right? Okay, so let's go over this. He resembles the Infinite Spirit, okay, and he directs the movements of many of the high personalities of the Infinite Spirit also, okay? And when there's a council or they're all together, he always speaks for the Infinite Spirit, just like the previous one spoke for the Eternal Son, and the one before that spoke for the Universal Father. You see how each one of them has a job and specifics? Kind of interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's go on to number 4. Millie, would you take number 4?
Master Spirit number 4. Partaking of the combined natures of the Father and the Son, this Master Spirit is the determining influence regarding Father-Son policies and procedures in the councils of the 7 Master Spirits. This Spirit is the chief director and advisor of those ascended beings who have attained the Infinite Spirit and thus have become candidates for seeing the Son and the Father. He fosters that enormous group of personalities taking origin in the Father and the Son. When it becomes necessary to represent the Father and Son in the association of the 7 Master Spirits, it's always Master Spirit number 4 who speaks. This Spirit fosters the 4th segment of the grand universe in accordance with his peculiar association of the attributes of the Universal Father and the Eternal Son. He is always in personal liaison with the reflective spirits of the headquarters of the 4th universe, super universe.
Okay, so you see that this pattern now coming out, don't you? He's in charge of the he's in association with the reflective spirits of the 4th. Now this is interesting that this particular Master Spirit speaks when anything comes up regarding the policies of the Father and Son combined, right? And that's what they're saying here. So he's the combination of both the Father and the Son, okay? And it's always him that speaks when these issues come up that deal with both of them. Okay, Diane, would you take the next one?
Yes. Master Spirit number 5. This divine personality, who exquisitely blends the character of the Universal Father and the Infinite Spirit, is the advisor of that enormous group of beings known as the Power Directors, Power Centers, and Physical Controllers. This Spirit also fosters all personalities taking origin in the Father and the Conjoint Actor. In the councils of the 7 Master Spirits, when the Father Spirit attitude is in question, it is always Master Spirit number 5 who speaks. The Spirit directs the welfare of the 5th super universe in such a way as to suggest the combined action of the Universal Father and the Infinite Spirit. He is always in liaison with the reflective spirits at the headquarters of the fifth super universe.
Okay, just like the other universes, he's in liaison with the reflective spirits in super universe. Now, number 5 represents the combination of the Father and the Spirit, which is very interesting because he also is the advisor of the, what they call here, the enormous groups of beings known as the power directors, power centers, and physical controllers. So when we talk about anything physical, the master physical controllers, the power centers, or the regular physical controllers, it is this master spirit that advises them and leads them in the proper direction. Now, why would that be? Because he's the representation of the universal Father, the first source, and the infinite Spirit, the third source and center, which is in charge of what? All matter through paradise, right? So this combination, it makes perfect sense that he would be in charge of anything physical, right? Which includes the power directors, power centers, and physical controllers, and all the circuits there too, right? So this is the one that controls all those millions and millions of circuits that come out of paradise.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, pretty important. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Okay, Master Spirit number 6. This divine being seems to portray a combined character of the Eternal Son and the Infinite Spirit. Whenever the creature jointly created by the Son and the Spirit foregather in the central universe, it is this Master Spirit who is their advisor. And whenever, in the councils of the 7 Master Spirits, it becomes necessary to speak conjointly for the Eternal Son and the Infinite Spirit, it is Master Spirit number 6 who responds. The Spirit directs the affairs of the 6th super universe, much as what would the Eternal Son and the Infinite Spirit. He is always in liaison with the reflective spirits at the headquarters of the 6th universe.
Okay, so he is always in liaison with the 6th universe reflective spirits, which are 7, right? See the pattern. Okay, so this Master Spirit is the combined character of the Eternal Son and the Infinite Spirit. So anything relating to those two as a combination, it is this Master Spirit that takes care of it or speaks for them, right? And that's Master Spirit number 6. Now let's move on to Master Spirit number 7. Master Spirit number 7, the presiding spirit of the 7th super universe. This is the universe we're in, right? Is a uniquely equal portrayal of the universal Father, the Eternal Son, and the Infinite Spirit. The 7th Spirit, the fostering advisor of all triune origin beings, is also the advisor and director of all ascending pilgrims of Havona. So he's in charge of everybody that goes through Havona. Those lowly beings who have attained the courts of glory through the combined ministry of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. The 7th Master Spirit is not organically representative of the Paradise Trinity, but it is a known fact that his personal and spiritual nature is the conjoint actor's portraiture in equal proportions of the 3 infinite persons whose deity union is the Paradise Trinity, and those function as such in the source of the personal and spiritual nature of God the Supreme. Hence, the 7th Master Spirit discloses a personal and organic relationship to the spirit person of the evolving Supreme. Therefore, it is the Master Spirit counsels on high when it comes necessary to cast the ballot for the combined personal attitude for the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, or to depict the spiritual attitude of the Supreme Being. It is Master Spirit number 7 who functions. He thus inherently becomes the presiding head of the Paradise Council of the 7 Master Spirits. So, This is important. He's the combination of the characteristics of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And he speaks for them when that combination needs to be spoke for. He does not totally represent the Trinity. Well, he does represent the Trinity, but he does not act for the Trinity. Again, it takes all seven. But he is the head when all seven comes together. He is like the chairman of the board. He's also the personal representative of the Supreme Being, and he will speak for the Supreme Being until the time the Supreme Being comes into full fruition. So you see how important this Master Spirit is, and how these combinations all come together. Now, why is this so important to us? Because it is the seventh super universe we come from, and we will take these same characteristics all the way to paradise. And this is also why they believe the Supreme Being's headquarters will be from Uversa in the seventh super universe. It's because of the seventh Master Spirit. You see the connection there?
That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because it's the seventh Master Spirit that's been speaking for the Supreme, so it makes sense that the Supreme would take up its position from that same super universe. Does that make sense? And that's why they think that the seventh, or the Supreme Being will come from our super universe. Okay. Millie, would you take the next one?
No one of the seven spirits is organically representative of the Paradise Trinity, but when they unite as sevenfold deity, this union is in a deity sense, not a personal sense. Oh, shit. Just kidding. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry.
It's okay. I always bury the house.
In a sense, this sevenfold spirit is functionally associable with the Paradise Trinity. It is also in this sense that the Master Spirit, number 7, sometimes speaks in confirmation of Trinity attitudes, or rather acts as spokesman for the attitude of the sevenfold spirit union regarding the attitude of the threefold deity union, the attitude of the Paradise Trinity.
Okay, so it's interesting they use a term in this paragraph. It says not in a personal sense. It equivalates to the functional level associable with the Trinity functions, which the word I was talking about was equivalates to the function, right? So when the seven spirits work in union, it's almost like the Paradise Trinity working. You see what I'm saying? That's what they're saying. It equivalates to the functional level associable with the Trinity functions. You see it? But it takes all 7 of them. But it's number 7 who speaks in confirmation of the Trinity attitude, right? So the 7th is the spokesperson for the Paradise Trinity when they get together. You see that? So number 7 is pretty important. All of them.
All 7 have important
Very,
positions.
very important functions. Every single one of them. Okay, Diane, would
It
you?
says Master Spirit number 7. I'm sorry, it says Master Spirit number 7 sometimes speaks in confirmation of Trinity attitudes.
That's right. Sometimes, right? In other words, when any of the 7 have to speak for the combination of the 3 or the Trinity, it's number 7 that will do that, right? And I'm sure they're directed by the Trinity when that happens. Okay? All right. Diane?
The multiple functions of the seventh Master Spirit thus range from a combined portraiture of the personal natures of the Father, Son, and Spirit through a representation of the personal attitude of God the Supreme, to a disclosure of the deity attitude of the Paradise Trinity. And in certain respects, this presiding spirit is similarly expressive of the attitudes of the ultimate and of the supreme ultimate.
Since he represents the supreme and the attitude of the supreme and the Trinity, what they're saying here, in some respects, he also represents the attitude of the ultimate and the supreme ultimate, and those are coming in the future, right? With the outer space levels. So the seventh is very important. Okay. Rodney, would you take the next one?
It is Master Spirit number 7 who, in his multiple capacities, personally sponsors the progress of the ascension candidates from the worlds of time in their attempts to achieve comprehension of the undivided deity of supremacy. Such comprehension involves a grasp of the existential sovereignty of the Trinity of supremacy, so coordinated with the concept of the growing experiential sovereignty
Sovereignty.
sovereignty of the Supreme Being as to constitute the creature grasp of the unity of supremacy. Creature realization for these three factors equals fauna comprehension of Trinity, reality, and endows the pilgrims of time with the ability eventually to penetrate the Trinity, to discover the three infinite persons of deity.
So it's the Master Spirit number 7 that sponsors all ascending candidates for all 7 super universes in Havona. Okay? And the reason he does this is because he is the representation of the Supreme. Okay? And that is the experiential arm of us coming up as ascenders, right? So he helps us understand the concepts of the experiential part of the Supreme, which we have to recognize first before the 3 deities, and then the next step would be what? Recognize the Infinite Spirit, the Son, and the Father. And it is this Master Spirit that sponsors us to be able to do this, and we have a little advantage because we are the likeness of Master Spirit number 7 than any other beings. So that is why also that it takes beings from all 7 of the super universes to go up through Havona and Paradise so that we get the other combinations exposure to us as we go through Havona. Does that make sense? Because it's easier for us to understand people that are like us than not like us. Okay?
To some extent, it sounds like we're going to be spoiled a little bit.
Yeah, we are kind of spoiled in a way.
I would think out of all the zillions of universes and planets that are out there are others that look like us.
Oh, sure. I'm sure there will be many that looks like us. Okay. The inability of the Havona pilgrims fully to find God the Supreme is compensated by the 7th Master Spirit. Those triune nature in such a peculiar manner is revelatory of the spirit person of the Supreme. During the present universe age of the non-contactability of the person of the Supreme, Master Spirit number 7 functions in place of God, of the God of ascendant creatures in the matter of personal relationships. He is the one high spirit being that all ascenders are certain to recognize and somewhat comprehend when they reach the centers of glory. So he will be our representation, the personal representation of the Supreme for us to understand, right? Not only us, but for everyone to understand the Supreme. Okay? From all 7 super universes. Okay. Billy, would you take this one?
You know, maybe there aren't other beings on other planets that are like us. There are no 2 snowflakes alike.
That's true. They may be similar, but they probably will not be perfectly like us, you know, because we are an experimental planet too, you know.
This master spirit is always in liaison with the reflective spirits of Universa, the headquarters of the seven super-universes, our own segment of creation. His administration of Orbantan discloses the marvelous symmetry of the coordinate blending of the divine natures of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit.
Okay, so he is he's in liaison with the seven spirits, just like the others, right? And he is the nature of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Okay. Diane, would you take the first one on the next one?
4. Attributes and functions of master spirits. The 7 master spirits are the full representation of the infinite spirit to the evolutionary universes. They represent the third source and center in the relationships of energy, mind, and spirit. While they function as the coordinating heads of the universal administrative control of the conjuring actor, do not forget that they have their origin in the creature acts of the paradise deities.
Creative acts, dear.
In the
Creative acts.
Creative acts.
creative acts of the paradise deities. It is literally true that these 7 spirits are the personalized physical power, cosmic mind, and spiritual presence of the triune deity, the 7 spirits of God sent forth to all the universe.
So it's through the 7 master spirits that everything comes, right? Energy, matter, and spirit. Energy, mind, and spirit, I'm sorry. So, and also all the physical matter, right? So the physical power, the cosmic mind, and the spiritual presence of the triune deity. Everything comes down through these 7 master spirits and is coordinated through the 7 supreme executives, which we'll talk about next week. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
The master spirits are unique in that they function on all universe levels of reality, excepting the absolute. They are, therefore, efficient and perfect supervisors of all phases of administrative affairs on all levels of super-universe activities. It is difficult for the mortal mind to understand very much about the master spirits because their work is so highly specialized, yet all-embracing, so exceptionally material, and at the same time so exquisitely spiritual. These versatile creatures of the cosmic mind are the ancestors of the universe, our directors, and are themselves supreme directors of the vast and far-flung spirit creature creation.
So they're really involved in every aspect of creation, aren't they? You know, from the spiritual to the material to the mindal, all the way down. It's the master spirits that's in charge of all this. That everything. That's right. The 7 master spirits are the creators of the universe power directors and their associates, entities who are indispensable to the organization, the control, and regulation of the physical energies of the grand universe. And these same master spirits very materially assist the creator sons in the work of shaping and organizing the local universe. So it's the master spirits that direct the power directors and the entities who's underneath those for the organization, control, and regulation in everything, right? All the systems, everything down through the super universe. You know, all those pathways we've talked about, they're in charge of all of them. Okay? Millie, would you take the next one? Millie, turn your mic back on.
We are unable to trace any personal connection between the cosmic energy work of the master spirits and the force function of the unqualified absolute. The energy manifestations under the jurisdiction of the master spirits are all directed from the periphery of paradise. They do not appear to be in any direct manner associated with the force phenomena identified with the nether surface of paradise.
Now you remember the unqualified absolute, what we consider part of the unqualified absolute comes from nether paradise, right? But what they're saying here is they can't trace any connection for the cosmic energy and the work of the master spirits connected to this unqualified absolute. And it's the master spirits that do what? That direct the power directors and that sort of thing. So it's a mystery to them also, right? Alright. Diane, would you take the next one?
The question to me, when we encounter the functional activities of various Moraja power supervisors, we are face to face with certain of the unrevealed activities of the master spirits, who, aside from these ancestors of both physical controllers and spirit ministers, could have contrived so to combine and substitute material and spiritual energies as to produce a hitherto non-existent phase of the universe reality, Moraja substance and Moraja mind.
So they have something to do with associating the physical with a spiritual, which comes up with the Moraja experience altogether, the Moraja substance and the Moraja mind. So it's through these power directives the Moraja type of being is possible. Okay? Rodney, would you take the next one?
Much of the reality of this spiritual world is of the Moraja order, a phase of universal reality wholly unknown in Moraja. The goal of personality existence is spiritual, but the Moraja creatures always intervene.
Creations. Moraja creations, Rodney.
I'm sorry. Yep, what I said, creature.
Yeah.
The Moraja creations always intervene, bridging the gulf between the material realms of mortal origin and the super-universe spheres of advancing spiritual status. It is this realm that the master spirits make their great contribution to the plan of man's paradise ascension.
So we have three types of being, don't we? We have material, Moraja, and spiritual. And it's through these seven master spirits that it makes the Moraja level possible. Okay? And also, basically, the Moraja level is a necessity for physical beings or finite beings to become infinite, isn't it? So it's a stepping stone. We cannot become spiritual beings without the Moraja level. And that's what these seven master spirits actually do too. Okay, the seven master spirits have personal representatives who function throughout the grand universe. But since a large majority of these subordinate beings are not directly concerned with the ascended scheme of mortal progression in the path of paradise perfection, little or nothing has been revealed about them. Very much of the activity of the seven master spirits remains hidden from human understanding because in no way does it directly pertain to your problem of paradise ascent. So there's many beings under the master spirits that they do not even tell us about because it's not part of our ascensions plan and not something that we should be concerned with. Okay? Millie, would you take the next one?
It distresses me that they call it our problem.
Our problem.
Paradise
That's right.
I thought it was an opportunity.
Well, it really is, isn't it? To us, it's not a problem, is it?
How far do you want me to go with this? It's highly probable.
Yeah, that's a real short one. You want to go all the way down to the reflectivity mechanism. That's 16.4.15. There's seven things there. Go down to the seventh one.
Okay.
Okay.
It is highly probable, though we cannot offer definite proof, that the master spirit of Orvonton exerts a decided influence in the following spheres of activity. 1. The life initiation procedures of the local universe light carriers. 2. The life activations of the adjutant mind spirits bestowed upon the worlds by the local universe creative spirit. 3. The fluctuations in energy manifestations exhibited by the linear gravity responding units of organized matter. 4. The behavior of emergent energy when fully liberated from the grasp of the unqualified absolute, thus becoming responsive to the direct influence of linear gravity and to the manipulations of the universe power directors and their associates. 5. The bestowal of the ministry spirit of a local universe creative spirit known on Urantia as the Holy Spirit. 6. The subsequent bestowal of the spirit of the bestowal sons on Urantia called the Comforter or the Spirit of Truth. 7. The reflectivity mechanism of the local universes and the super-universe, many features connected with this extraordinary phenomenon can hardly be reasonably explained or rationally understood without postulating the activity of the master spirits in association with the conjoint actor and the supreme being.
Okay, so all 7 of these, they say, is highly probable, but they cannot offer definite proof, okay, that the Master Spirit of Orvanton exerts a decided influence in the following spheres of activity. So these are the 7 things that they believe that the 7th Master Spirit acts in, but they do not have proof of that, okay? And these are pretty important things, you know, the initiation of life, right? And the activation of the adjutant mind spirits by the local creative spirit. That's pretty important. And it goes on and on, all the way down through all 7 of these. The bestowal of the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of Truth and the reflectivity mechanism. So these are all very important functions, but they can't offer us proof that the 7th Master Spirit actually acts in this, but this is what they believe, right? Okay, Diane, would you take the next one?
Notwithstanding our failure adequately to comprehend the manifold workings of the 7 master spirits, we are confident there are 2 realms in the vast range of universe activities with which they have nothing whatever to do. The bestowal and ministry of the Thought Adjusters and the inscrutable functions of the unqualified absolute.
And that makes sense because the Thought Adjusters is the domain of the Universal Father only, right? And the unqualified absolute, that's that part of the absolute that functions out in the outer space levels before anything starts, right? So that would make sense that the 7 Master Spirits probably don't function in either one of those ranges. Okay, Rodney, would you take number 5? Relation
Yeah.
to creatures?
Number 5, relation to creatures. Each segment of the grand universe, each individual universe and world, enjoys the benefits of the united counsel and wisdom of all 7 master spirits, but receives the personal touch and tinge of only one. And the personal nature of each master spirit entirely pervades and uniquely conditions his super universe.
So that's why we have the influence of the 7th, right? Through this personal influence of the 7 Master Spirits, every creature of every order of intelligent beings outside of Paradise and Havona must bear the characteristic stamp of individuality indicative of the ancestral nature of some one of these 7 Master Spirits. As concerns the 7 super universes, each native creature, man or angel, will forever bear this badge of natal identification. So
Well, you said 7 master spirits, but it's 7 paradise spirits.
oh, I'm sorry, 7 Paradise
That
Spirits.
is the same, right?
Yeah, it is. That's right. We're just using these terms interchangeably here. So we'll always bear the badge of our seventh super universe spirit, right? All right, Billy, would you take
So
the
the
next one?
number of our planet.
Right, that's right, and the number of our planet. Millie?
Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, the seven master spirits do not directly invade the material minds of the individual creatures on the evolutionary worlds of space. The mortals of Urantia do not experience the personal presence of the mind spirit influence of the master spirit of Avanta. If this master spirit does attain any sort of contact with the individual mortal mind during the earliest evolutionary ages of an inhabited world, that doesn't make sense. If this master spirit does attain any sort of contact with the individual mortal mind during the earliest evolutionary ages of an inhabited world, it must occur through the ministry of the local universe creative spirit, the consort and associate of the Creator Son of God who presides over the destinies of each local creation. But this very creative Mother Spirit is, in nature and character, quite like the Master Spirit of our time.
So the local creator son and the creative mother spirit both show tendencies of this master spirit, right? So through them we are influenced, basically, okay? But they do not directly invade the human mind, right? All right. That's the point here. All right. Diane.
The physical stamp of a master spirit is a part of man's material origin. The entire Morancha career is lived under the continuing influence of this same master spirit. It is hardly strange that the subsequent spirit career of such an ascending mortal never fully eradicates the characteristic stamp of this same supervising spirit. The impress of a master spirit is basic to the very existence of every pre-Havona stage of mortal ascension.
So because our experience all relates to this seventh spirit, we're going to take that on, right, with us. Rodney?
I kind of thought we'd all end up being the same.
No, we'll still be unique according to our seven super universes. That's why when we get to heaven, or we get to paradise, I should say, if they want a opinion from all seven super universes, they will have a mortal that's gone through the ascension plan from each of the seven super universes to get the full picture, right? All right, Rodney.
The distinctive personality exhibited in the life experience of evolutionary mortals, which are characteristic in each super universe, and which are directly expressive of the nature of the dominating master spirit, are never fully
Effaced.
effaced. Not even after such ascenders are subjected to the long training and unifying discipline encountered on the 1 billion educational spheres of Havana. Holy cow. Even the subsequent intense paradise culture does not suffice to eradicate the earmarks of super-universe origin. Throughout all eternity, an ascendant mortal will exhibit traits indicative of the presiding spirit of his super-universe of nativity, even in the core of the finality, when it is desired to arrive at or to portray a complete trinity relationship to the evolutionary creation. Always a group of 7 finalities is assembled, one from each super universe.
So we have to have one from each of the seven super universes. This comes back to you can take the man out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the man. We will always have the tendencies of where we come from, right? That's the experiential part of our ascension to God. And once we have that experience never goes away and will always be like that experience, right? Number 6, the cosmic mind. The master spirits are the sevenfold source of the cosmic mind. So you want to know where the cosmic mind comes from? It's the 7 master spirits, right? The intellectual potential of the grand universe. This cosmic mind is a sub-absolute manifestation of the mind of the third source and center, and in certain ways is functionally related to the mind of the evolving supreme being. So the cosmic mind is related to the mind of the evolving supreme being, right? All right.
On a world like Urantia, we do not encounter the direct influence of the 7 master spirits in the affairs of the human races. You live under the immediate influence of the creative spirits of Nebadon. Nevertheless, these same master spirits dominate the basic reactions of all creature mind because they are the actual sources of the intellectual and spiritual potentials which have been socialized in the local universes for function in the lives of those individuals who inhabit the evolutionary worlds of time and space.
So we don't have a direct influence to them, but we pick up the tendencies of it, right? Okay. Diane.
The fact of the cosmic mind explains the kinship of various types of human and superhuman minds. Not only are kindred spirits attracted to each other, but kindred minds are also very fraternal and inclined towards cooperation, the one with the other. Human minds are sometimes observed to be running in channels of astonishing similarity and inexplicable agreement.
That's why we probably all study these things together, don't we? Is because we're kindred spirits and we have kindred minds, right? All right. Rodney.
There exists in all personality association of the cosmic mind a quality which might be denominated the reality response. It is this universal cosmic endowment of will creatures which saves them from becoming helpless victims of the implied a priori assumptions of science, philosophy, and religion. This reality sensitivity of the cosmic mind responds to certain phases of reality just as energy material responds to gravity. It would be still more correct to say that these supermaterial realities so respond to the mind of the cosmos.
So we have a built-in cosmic mind that helps us sort out and know what's real and what's not. That's what they call this reality response, okay? And it's part of us being associated with the cosmic mind, and the closer we come to our religious roots and the will of the Father, the will of God, this reality response works better and better and better, okay? It puts us more in touch with the cosmic mind. Because where does the cosmic mind come from? It comes from the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, right? It's the mind of God, and that's why doing the will of the Father is so important, okay? The cosmic mind unfailingly recognizes response on 3 levels of universe reality. These responses are self-evident to clear reasoning and deep thinking minds. These levels of reality are
Go ahead.
Okay.
All 3 of them.
all right.
Yeah.
Causation, the reality domain of the physical senses, the scientific realms of logical uniformity, the differentiation of the factual and the non-factual, reflective conclusions based on cosmic response. This is the mathematical form of cosmic discrimination. Now that was causation, right? Duty, the reality domain of morals in the philosophic realm. the arena of reason, the recognition of right and wrong. This is the judicial form of the cosmic discriminations. In other words, we have a built-in mechanism to determine what's duty and what's right and wrong. That's, you know, when you think people have a conscience for doing right and wrong, that's really not your conscience. This is the cosmic response. This is your association with the cosmic reality. Okay? The third one, worship. The spiritual domain of the reality of religious experience. The personal realization of divine fellowship. The recognition of spirit values. The assurance of eternal survival. The ascent from the status of servants of God to the joy and liberty of the sons of God. This is the highest insight of cosmic mind, the reverential and worshipful form of the cosmic discrimination. So these are the three things: causation, duty, and worship. And these are all part of the cosmic mind, right?
I like that section.
I do
That's
too.
why I wanted you to do it. It all goes together.
It does. Okay, Millie, would you take the next one?
These scientific, moral, and spiritual insights, these cosmic responses, are innate in the cosmic mind, which endows all will creatures. The experience of living never fails to develop these three cosmic institutions, constitutive in the self-consciousness of reflective thinking.
Wait a minute, Millie, that's intuitions. These three cosmic intuitions.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did I call it?
Institutions, yeah. These are,
Yeah, well, they could be.
yeah.
They are constituted in the self-consciousness of reflective thinking. But it is sad to record, and this got to me, that so few persons on your roster take delight in cultivating these qualities of courageous and independent cosmic thinking.
And that's why is that? Because we want to follow everybody else, don't we? We don't want to be leaders, we want to be followers, don't we?
Sheeple,
Sheep people, that's right. We're all sheep.
not people, sheeple.
That's right, sheeple. That's right. So by doing these things, cultivating these three things, we're doing what? We're developing our own moral and spiritual insights and cosmic responses, right? That's really, these are wonderful paragraphs. They really are. You know. Diane, would you take the next one?
In a local universe mind bestowals, these three insights of the cosmic mind constitute the priori assumptions which make it possible for man to function as a rational and self-conscious personality in the realms of science, philosophy, and religion. Stated otherwise, the recognition of the reality of these three manifestations of the infinite is by a cosmic technique of self-revelation. Matter energy is recognized by the mathematical logic of the senses. Mind reason intuitively knows its moral duty. Spirit faith worship is a religion of the reality of spiritual experience. These three basic factors in reflective thinking may be united and coordinated in personality development, or they may become disproportionate and virtually unrelated in their respective functions. But when they become unified, they produce a strong character consisting in the correlation of a factual science, a moral philosophy, with a genuine religious experience. And it is in these three cosmic intuitions that give objective validity, reality to man's experience in and with things, meanings, and values.
Okay, so these things are necessary for us to develop what? Experience in things, meaning, and values, which they go over and over and over and over in this book constantly about, don't they? Okay? Rodney, would you take the next one?
It is the purpose of education to develop and sharpen these innate endowments of the human mind, of civilization to express them, of life experience to realize them, of religion to enable them, and of
Ennoble.
personality to unify them.
Right.
Noble.
Ennoble them. That's right. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah. The next one, morals, virtue, and personality. Intelligence alone cannot explain the moral nature. Morality, virtue is indigenous to human personality. Moral intuition, the realization of duty, is a component of human mind endowment and is associated with the other inalienable of human nature, scientific curiosity and spiritual insight. Man's mentality far transcends that of his animal cousins, but it is his moral and religious natures that especially distinguishes him from the animal world. So it's these morals, virtue, and personality that distinguishes us from other animals, right? All right. Millie, would you take the next one?
Okay, got it. The selective response of an animal is limited to the motor level of behavior. The supposed insight of the higher animals is on a motor level and usually appears only after the experience of motor trial and error. Man is able to exercise scientific, moral, and spiritual insight prior to all
Prior to all exploration and
Man
experimentation.
is able to exercise scientific, moral, and spiritual insight prior to all explorations or experimentation.
And animals cannot. That's the difference, right? They only experience things through what? Behavior response. Okay. Millie, would you take the next one? Diane, I'm sorry.
Only personality is doing before it does it. Only personalities possess insight in advance of experience. A personality can look before it leap and can therefore learn from looking as well as from leaping. A non-personal animal ordinarily learns only by leaping.
That's interesting because sometimes we leap before we look too, didn't it? Rodney, would you take the next one?
As a result of experience, an animal becomes able to examine the different ways of attaining a goal and to select an approach based on accumulated experience. But a personality can also examine the goal itself and pass judgment on its worth,
Wildness. Yeah.
wildness, its value. Intelligence alone can discriminate as to the best means of attaining indiscriminate ends, but a moral being possesses an insight which enables him to discriminate between ends as well as between means. And a moral being is choosing virtue is nonetheless intelligent. He knows what he is doing, why he is doing it, where he is going, and how he will get there.
At least that's the way it's supposed to be for most humans, right? Makes you wonder with some people, doesn't it? Okay.
Like a president.
Yeah. When man fails to discriminate the ends of his mortal striving, he finds himself functioning on the animal level of existence. He has failed to avail himself of the superior advantages of that material acumen, moral discrimination, and spiritual insight which are an integral part of his cosmic mind endowment as a personal being. So we can walk around and act like animals, can't we? You know, you don't...
Not seen it.
Yeah, we've all seen it at one time or another. Millie, would you take the next one?
Virtue is righteousness, conformity with the cosmos. To name virtues is not to define them, but to live them is to know them. Virtue is not mere knowledge, nor yet wisdom, but rather the reality of progressive experience in the attainment of ascending levels of cosmic achievement. In the day-to-day life of mortal man, virtue is realized by the consistent choosing of good rather than evil, and such choosing ability is evidence of the possession of a moral nature.
And hopefully by growing throughout our life, we will continue to make the right choices, right? Not continue to make the wrong choices over and over. Diane, would you take the next one, please?
Man's choosing between good and evil is influenced not only by the keenness of his moral nature, but also by such influences as ignorance, immaturity, and delusion. A sense of proportion is also concerned in the exercise of virtue, because evil may be perpetuated when the lesser is chosen in the place of the greater as a result of distortion or deception. The art of relative estimation or comparative measurement enters into the practice of the virtues of the moral realm.
So it makes sense if you keep choosing the wrong pathway over and over and over. That's what they're talking about here: ignorance, immaturity, and delusion. You live in a deluded world, and eventually your world turns into a world of unreality, doesn't it? That's what they call cosmic insanity, or what? Rebellion against God, right? All right, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Man's moral nature would be impotent without the art of measurement. The discrimination embodied in his ability to scrutinize meaning. Likewise, would moral choosing be futile without that cosmic insight which yields the consciousness of spiritual values. From the standpoint of intelligence, man ascends to the level of a moral being because he is endowed with personality.
Okay, and notice here it says the consciousness of spiritual values. Part of moral choosing is your spiritual values, right? And you cannot make moral choices without your life, without some kind of spiritual morality, okay? Morality can never be advanced by law or by force. It is a personal and free will matter and must be disseminated by the contagion of the contact of morality fragrant persons with whose those who are less morally responsive, but who are also in some measure desirous of doing the Father's will. It's self-explanatory. All right. Millie. We have no sound, Millie. Turn your mic back on.
Okay. This is moral acts, and is that
Yes.
where
Yeah, that's
moral
where we-
acts are those human performances which are characterized by the highest intelligence, directed by selective discrimination in a choice of superior ends, as well as in the selection of moral means to attain these ends. Such conduct is virtuous. Supreme virtue, then, is wholeheartedly to choose to do the will of the Father in heaven.
It always comes back to doing the Father's will, isn't it? Everything. All right. Diane, would you take the next one?
A direction of personality. The Universal Father bestows personality upon numerous orders of beings as they function on diverse levels of universe actuality. The range of human beings are endowed with personality of a finite moral type, functioning on the level of the ascending sons of God.
So that makes us ascending sons of God, right? Faith sons. All right, Rodney.
Though we can hardly undertake to define personality, we may attempt to narrate our understanding of the known factors which go to make up these
Ensemble
of material, mental, and spiritual energies whose interassociation constitutes the mechanism wherein and whereon and wherewith the Universal Father causes his bestowed personality to function.
Okay, so it's the Universal Father that gives us personality, allows us to do these things, right? Personality is a unique endowment of original nature whose existence is independent of and antecedent to the bestowal of the thought adjuster. Nevertheless, the presence of the adjuster does augment the qualitative manifestation of personality. Thought adjusters, when they come forth from the Father, are identical in nature, but personality is diverse, original, and exclusive, and the manifestation of personality is further conditioned and qualified by the nature and qualities of the associated energies of the material, mindal, and spiritual nature which constitute the organismal vehicle for personality manifestation. So, thought adjusters, when they come to us, are all exactly alike, right? They're identical. And it's through our personality that they change and become unique, right? It's the mixing of the two, the thought adjuster and the human. Okay? Millie.
Yes, personalities may be similar, but they are never the same. Persons of a given series, type, order, or pattern may and do resemble one another, but they are never identical. Personality is that feature of an individual which we know and which enables us to identify such a being at some future time, regardless of the nature and extent of changes in the form, mind, or spirit status. Personality is that part of an individual which enables us to recognize and positively identify that person as the one we have previously known, no matter how much he may have changed because of modifications of the vehicle of expression and manifestation of his personality.
So it's because of our. Pardon me?
I would like to make a comment here.
Yeah, go right ahead.
This reminds me of when Mary saw Jesus after he had risen, but she didn't recognize him until they started conversing. And then she realized through the personality it was Jesus.
That's right. And it's that personality, regardless of what we outwardly look like, or they talk about the modification of the vehicle of expression. No matter what kind of new body we get, we will always be known and know people by their personality, regardless of what they look like, right? So when we get to the mansion world and we get new bodies, it doesn't matter if we're old or young or whatever, people will recognize us because of our personality and what we've become.
We will always have this personality.
We will always have this personality. That's right. Okay.
Future personality is distinguished by two self-manifest characteristic phenomena of mortal reactive behavior: self-consciousness and associated relative free will. Self-consciousness consists in intellectual awareness of personality, actuality. It includes the ability to recognize the reality of other personalities. It indicates capacity for individualized experience in and with cosmic realities, equivalating to the attainment of identity status in the personality relationships of the universe. Self-consciousness connotes recognition of the actuality of mind administration and the realization of relative independence of creative and determinative free will.
Okay. So it's interesting here, they say self-consciousness is the awareness of personality actuality. You see that? So it's our personality that makes us self-conscious from the beginning, right? Okay. Rod, read the statement, the next 7 things on the list there.
The relative free will, which characterizes the self-consciousness of human personality, is involved in, number 1, moral decision, highest wisdom. Number 2, spiritual choice, truth discernment. Number 3, unselfish love, brotherhood, service. Number 4, purposeful cooperation, group loyalty. Number 5, cosmic insight, the grasp of universe meanings. Number 6, personality dedication, wholehearted devotion to doing the Father's will. And number 7, worship, the sincere pursuit of divine values and the wholehearted love of the divine value giver.
Okay, and these are the things that makes us conscious of our personality. Isn't that interesting? You know, what a beautiful list, too. The moral decisions, spiritual choice, unselfish love, purposeful cooperation, cosmic insight, personal dedication, and worship.
That's like the fruits of the Spirit.
It's like the fruits of the Spirit, that's right. I love that list. We ought to have it posted somewhere. All right. The Urantia type of human personality may be viewed as functioning in the physical mechanism consisting of the planetary modification of the Nebadon type of organism belonging to the electrochemical order of life, activation and endowed by the Nebadine order of the Orvonton series of the cosmic mind of parental reproductive pattern. That tells us what we are. The bestowal of the divine gift of personality upon such a mind-endowed mortal mechanism confers the dignity of cosmic citizenship and enables such a mortal creature there forthwith to become reactive to the constitutive recognition of three basic mind realities of the cosmos. Let me go ahead and read those two. First tells us what type of being we are, and then it goes on with this list. 1. The mathematical or logical recognition of the uniformity of physical causation. 2. The reason recognition of the obligation of moral conduct. And 3. The faith grasp of the fellowship worship of deity associated with the loving service of humanity. Whew. Man, this is some heavy stuff. Okay, Millie. Turn your mic back on, Millie.
Got it, okay. The full function of such a personality endowment is the beginning realization of deity kinship. Such a selfhood, indwelt by a pre-personal fragment of God, the Father, is in truth and in fact a spiritual Son of God. Such a creature not only discloses capacity for the reception of the gift of the divine presence, but also exhibits reactive response to the personality gravity circuit of the Paradise Father of all personalities.
And we've talked about this personality gravity circuit before, haven't we? But let me go back here for just a second. Realizing these three things, it's the beginning of the realization of our deity kinship, right? The fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. Okay? Through these, realizing these things and becoming a cosmic citizen, we realize that God is our Father and that all men are our brothers, right? And it's because of this love of God and the personality circuit of God.
Roger,
Yeah,
that's considered the gospel, isn't it?
that's exactly right. This is what Jesus was talking about. Is this right here, right? It all fits together. You know, it all comes back to the same things. You know, even when we do these things on Sunday mornings and we get these bits and pieces of teachings of Jesus, it comes right out of this first part of the book. You know, it really does. It reinforces everything that Jesus is teaching us, right? Okay, let's go on. Who's next? Who just read? Me?
Really did.
Millie did. Diane, would you take the next one?
9. Reality of human consciousness. The cosmic mind endowed, adjuster indwelt, personal creature possesses innate recognition and realization of energy reality, mind reality, and spirit reality. The will creature is thus equipped to discern the fact, the law, and the love of God. Aside from these three unalienables of human consciousness, all human experience is relatively subjective, except that intuitive realization of validity attaches to the unification of these three universe reality responses of cosmic recognition.
You know, when I read this, I realize that those who say that there is no God are cosmically insane, aren't they? Because they have lost the major, most important part of their cosmic consciousness, haven't they? So really, they're walking around through life totally unconscious of their own reality, if you think about it, right? Rodney, would you take the next one?
The God discerning world is able to sense the unification value of these three cosmic qualities in the evolution of the surviving soul, man's supreme undertaking in the physical tabernacle where the moral mind collaborates with the indwelling divine spirit to dualize the immortal soul. From its earliest inception, the soul is real. It has cosmic survival qualities.
So by realizing your thought adjuster or your relationship with God, right, we actually are what? Growing our soul, in essence, aren't we? All right. If mortal man fails to survive natural death, the real spiritual values of his human experience survive as part of the continuing experience of the thought adjuster. The personality values of such a non-survival persist as a factor in the personality of the actualizing supreme being. Such persisting qualities of personality are deprived of identity, but not of experiential values, accumulated during the mortal life in the flesh. Their survival of identity is dependent upon the survival of the immortal soul of Morontia status, an increasingly divine value. Personality identity survives in and by the survival of the soul. So, if you do not survive, the soul does not survive. The experience goes on with the thought adjuster and it's supreme, but you do not have a vehicle to have a personality any longer, right? So that which makes you as a person is taken away and is no longer given a life vehicle, right? All right. Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. Human self-consciousness implies the recognition of the reality of selves other than the conscious self, and further implies that such awareness is mutual, that the self is known as it knows. This is shown in a purely human manner in man's social life, but you cannot become so absolutely certain of a fellow being's reality as you can of the reality of the presence of God that lives within you. The social consciousness is not inalienable like the God consciousness. It is a cultural development and is dependent on knowledge, symbols, and the contributions of the constitutive endowments of man, science, morality, and religion. And these cosmic gifts, socialized, constitute civilization.
So it is through these recognition of each other, the recognition of each other's consciousness, that we have a civilization. But you do not have to have that to have a relationship with God the Father that's within you, right? Diane, would you take the next one?
Civilizations are unstable because they are not cosmic. They are not innate in the individuals of the races. They must be nurtured by the combined contribution of the constituent factors of man, science, morality, and religion. Civilizations come and go, but science, morality, and religion always survive the crash.
And you have to have all three of these, right? To keep going on. All right. Rodney.
Jesus not only revealed God to man, but he also made a new revelation of man to himself and to other men. In the life of Jesus, you see man at his best. Man thus becomes so beautifully real because Jesus had so much of God in his life, and the realization or recognition of God is inalienable and constituted in all men.
So you need God not only to socialize as human beings, but you need it for yourself also. Unselfishness, aside from parental instinct, is not altogether natural. All other persons are not naturally loved or socially served. It requires the enlightenment of reason, morality, and the urge of religion, God-knowingness, to generate an unselfish and altruistic social order. Man's own personality awareness, self-consciousness, is also directly dependent on this very fact of innate other awareness. This innate ability to recognize and grasp the reality of other personality ranging from the human to divine. So we're not automatically unselfish, are we? It's through this brotherhood of man and the love of God that we develop this altruistic tendency or unselfishness. Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. Unselfish social consciousness must be at bottom a religious consciousness. That is, if it is objective. Otherwise, it is purely subjective, philosophic abstraction, and therefore devoid of love. Only a God-knowing individual can love another person as he loves himself.
Well said, isn't it? All right. All right. Diane, will you read the next one and the 4 items underneath it?
Self-consciousness is, in essence, a communal consciousness. God and man, Father and Son, Creator and creature. In human self-consciousness, 4 universe reality realizations are latent and inherent. 1. The quest for knowledge, the logic of science. 2. The quest for moral values, a sense of duty. 3. The quest for spiritual values, a religious experience. 4. The quest for personality values, the ability to recognize the reality of God as a personality, and the concurrent realization of our fraternal relationship with fellow personalities.
I don't have anything to say. That's self-explanatory, isn't it? All right. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
You become conscious of man as your creature brother because you are already conscious of God as your creator father. Fatherhood is the relationship out of which we reason ourselves into the recognition of brotherhood. And fatherhood becomes, or may become, a universal reality to all world creatures because the Father has himself bestowed personality upon all such beings and has inserted them within the grasp of the universal personality circuit. We worship God first because He is, then because He is in us, and last because we are in Him.
It all comes back to the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it strange that the cosmic mind should be self-consciously aware of its own source, the infinite mind of the infinite spirit, and at the same time conscious of the physical reality of the far-flung universes, the spiritual reality of the eternal Son, and the personality reality of the universal Father? It ends with a question. And that was sponsored by a universal censor from Uversa. What a good paper. That's an educational paper, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what. Let's say a little prayer and we'll close for the night. Diane, would you close for us tonight, dear?
Dearest Father, we thank you so much for this revelation, for the information that's come through this evening, the understanding and enlightenment. Help us to personalize it and carry it with us for the rest of our lives. Help us to be true to the revelation and to each other, and to be kind and faithful. And help us to continuously be self-conscious and conscious of our thought adjuster within us and to do God's will. It is in your name, Jesus, we give thanks. Amen.
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 Thank you everyone at home for joining us. Please come see us again. God bless you.